Hey guys, it's me Rebecca. So this will be the start of another weekly vlog, and if you saw my last vlog, which I think I titled like finishing another series or something of the sort, you would have seen that I had started The Last Word by Taylor Adams, and I think when I did that update I was on page 94, I want to say. I've done quite a bit of reading today, and I'm on page 196 part 3, and yeah, and I am absolutely enjoying it, and it is suspenseful, I would say. As this author, who is quite big-headed and thinks very highly of himself, is upset that Emma leaves a one-star review on a book like. And he claims he takes inspiration from reality, and he wants to prove that point to Emma by just showing what reality can do and how what happens in these books can occur in real life. And he does this by completely isolating her, which she has already had by herself. With in fact, it doesn't seem like she has any friends or family, and no one knows she's here, it seems like, to him. But also he's cut it off her ways of contacting authorities or getting out by cutting phone lines and cutting the Wi-Fi and this what is the word? I'm seriously wondering. But he's caused damage to her car and won't stop, and he's also done the same to her neighbor Dick's car, who he knows they communicate through whiteboards, and he's kind of chasing her throughout the house in a sort of cat and mouse game of trying to lure her out, and also trying to kill the dog. Like, he lays his chicken breast with rat poison and gives it to the dog, and Emma thankfully is able to cause Laka, her dog, to throw up off the chicken breast that was eaten. So, and it seems like H.G. King's plans kind of something interferes when a delivery driver shows up, and he's a witness. He's collateral damage. So yeah, and the killer uses the FedEx driver to lure Emma out, which he's successful in that. Through he just ends up killing the FedEx guy and dismembering him with a big East Asian sword. I'm not sure about that. I just want the specifics, but I don't want to look it up because it's just quite inconvenient to do that. But Emma learns that, or she comes to the realization mainly that all of his books are based on reality. He's published 16 books, which means there is at least 17 deaths, and as the last book involved 2 people dying. So he has actually killed people to take inspiration from his book. And something I'm liking is it is a bit of a dual POV, but from his POV it is written like we're reading a book, and as well it is written how he sees events, how he'll be presenting events later on. Like, oh, I was so manly and tough, I didn't scream when she hit my hand with a hammer, when really, and things are different. Like, he is writing like making Emma seem meek when she's not that. Like, she is tough and she is not gonna give up this fight. Like, she needs to live at least to protect Laka and Deke, her neighbor. And it seems like Deke knows this guy H.G. Kane, as the guy is a huge fan of Deke's and of his a book he wrote, a true crime novel based off a serial killer in Texas, and this guy apparently seems to be a major fan and an obsessive fan who just wanted to be recognized. And as for with the killer, he is someone who, I don't know, it's just a stereotype, like, dude is in his mom's basement, like 200 something pounds, 6'3", chubby. Like, I mean, this is literally describing Captain as Chucky, which is quite amusing. But also, it seems like his only supporter is his mother, who's like, yes, you can do it, honey, like, I'm so proud of you. Like, I don't know, he's just gotten too much face, and no one's like if anyone tries to give him criticism, or he thinks he'll be getting criticism, well, because it seems like his first Carol was a friend of his who he had a crush on. He gave her his book and she avoided him, so yeah, so I am genuinely curious. My favorite part was that he, right with the FedEx guy coming, he pretended he was pleased to kind of trick Emma into thinking she's safe, but she's not, so I don't know, I'm just enjoying this in how suspenseful it is. So yeah, I think that's all for now. And so it's the next day and I've done some work and whatnot, and I also had to go out and run a couple of errands today. My word, it's like 47 degrees Fahrenheit outside, and when I was outside it was extremely cloudy. Now it's sunny, which of course, like, that's when, it's only when you're outside that the weather's not so nice, isn't it? But yeah, I was frozen solid because guess who's a 97-year-old grandma. But yeah, my errands, everything went good, and I did do quite a bit of reading of the last word, putting me on page 276, and I would say I'm still enjoying the novel, of course, but the feeling of suspense is no longer near, like, it's no longer kind of this cat and mouse chase. I mean, it kind of is, but things have gotten out of hand for our killer, Howard, as things have just not gone to the way he planned them to. Like, he didn't plan for certain people to show up and to be involved in the way they did, and or to be involved at all, and he's gonna have to improvise, and he is terrified, and with the way things are getting out of control, he's kind of getting reckless, I would say. And yeah, and we do have Deke, who does come and try and save Emma, as he is very familiar with Howard, who is a greatest fan of his and a previous book of his, and how Howard's obsession kind of destroyed his life and his career, and what Howard might have done in the past as well. And Jules, the woman who Emma is house sitting for, that also comes onto the scene, word about Emma, and it seems like she is very familiar with Howard, and that is why Howard took Emma's review so deeply. It seems like, as she is sitting for a house, or living in a house he's very familiar with, and he, quickly tries to deal with both of them, and he is able to kill kill Deke, and of restrain Jules, who accidentally killing her, and yeah. And where is my train of thought? I've lost it, and goes after Emma. We learn some things about Howard, of why he is the way he is, and how his mind works, and also we learn from his passages, it seems like, that he intends to go on his spree. He intends to track down everyone who's left him a 1-star review and will end their life. Like, this is a guy who should not be a writer, as he cannot handle criticism, it seems like, whatsoever. So yeah, there's that, and yeah, he thinks Emma has won, and he thinks it's not fair that she's not gonna walk away from this unchanged. I mean, she definitely will be changed if you do this, but he just wants to make things worse for her, and he tries to go after the dog, and she prevents it. So yeah, I would say it's as suspenseful as I mean, things are about to come to an end, and it seems like the cat and mouse chase is like, I don't know if the fact Emma is so much less scared of him, and she has an upper hand with the fact that things didn't go to plan as he hoped, and she's been able to kind of get over, I guess, overthink him. I don't really know, but yeah, it's like, I don't know, it's more of my intrigue now of what's gonna happen next, so yeah. I think that's all for now. So I'll see you next. So it's the next day and I've done some work and whatnot, and I did finish that last word, and I'm gonna give it 4 stars. I enjoyed it a lot. It was quite intriguing, and I liked seeing how everything wrapped up with what I read today. We do see, I guess, the aftermath of everything that occurred, and Emma, she should be relieved. Like, it's over. Like, she doesn't have to be afraid anymore, but there's still something that's like, it doesn't seem wrapped up perfectly to her. There's still something nagging at her in her head. It's because Howard kept saying there was someone else, someone who was gonna kill her, and he was trying to save her or something of the sort. And the police are trying to write it off like, oh, he was just someone who didn't take his medication, his antipsychotic medication, and it should wrap up for Emma, but it doesn't. And she realizes that someone she on and off thought she couldn't trust was someone she couldn't trust all along. And they try to end things because she mentioned that Howard had said something about another player and he didn't want to lose ends. And yeah, I did like that in the aftermath of how this person who is also a writer tried to get the upper hand, and thought that Emma was this fragile person whose mental health was deteriorating, and he kind of justified what he was doing with the idea, I guess, that he was just helping her. Like, she was already in a bad state, she was already contemplating, why not assist her? Like, it's not as bad when she's already considered it, and she did have a bag full of rocks with her, which shows that, which hints really that she was contemplating just walking into the ocean. So here we see that, and a few things are revealed about this person. Yeah, it seems like we do learn who actually died in the car accident, as it was in Sean, but someone else. As you can imagine, a married couple whom that's their partner would be in a car. And Emma, it seems like her grief caused her to run away from everything and everyone. Like, she couldn't even be in the same state as anything that reminded her of what happened, and she regrets that, as she and Sean, they're supposed to be working together as a team, like, be in this marriage as a team, working with one another, not against one another, and she's the one who's put off, so, and she does regret it, and I guess we see the kind of hopeful ending show half of kind of not turning her life around, but working on her grief properly and working with Sean to handle this grief and to not fix their marriage because it doesn't seem broken, but heal any wounds that might have been caused and kind of just continue on in life in the best way they can after the loss they experience. So yeah, 4 stars. And my next book is under the pile of books I usually keep, so I will tell you the synopsis tomorrow. As far now, I would love to lie down, but I think the next book I will be reading, or plan to read, is Recursion by Billy Crouch from USC, but yeah, that's all for now. So it's the next day, and I've done some work both on my laptop and both outside in the yard. And I still have some more yard work I need to do, but I'll just do that tomorrow. And I did do some reading. I mentioned yesterday I was gonna start Recursion by Blake Crouch. And I did. I'm on page 100, and so far I am liking this. This is about, at first it looks like a disease, an epidemic that spreads through no means. Driving gets victims mad with memories of a life they never lived. But the force that's sweeping the world is no pyrogen. It's just the first shockwave unleashed by a stunning discovery, and what's in jeopardy is not just our minds. In New York City, Detective Barry Sutton is closing in on the truth, and in a remote laboratory, neuroscientist Helena Smith is unaware that she alone holds the key to this mystery and the tools for fighting back. Together, Barry and Helena will have to confront their enemy before they and the world are trapped in a loop of ever-growing chaos. And with this, at first we see Barry in 2018 in New York as he is trying to talk down a woman from jumping off a building, and she claims she has a FMS, which is, I believe it was a false memory syndrome, which is when a person claims they have memories of another life, and the memories she has are so vivid, and it's not big moments that's causing her to want to jump, it's the little moments of like what her husband says cologne was and whatnot. And she thinks because of the woman who her husband is now married to apparently killed herself, she thinks that he'll come for her, and when he doesn't, she kills herself. And Barry, he cannot let this go, and he starts to investigate this, and the husband, she claims, named Joe, and he finds Joe and Franny in another town, and he goes there. Joe is apprehensive about discussing this matter with him. He wants him to leave, and then he gets a phone call from Joe saying like what happened and that it was Joe's fault. And Barry's at a diner when he gets like these false memories in place, and it goes on, and he is given a location of this hotel that Joe went and got the false memories, and he finds the hotel and is kind of ambushed and held hostage, and is forced to relive the last time he saw his daughter alive. And it seems like he has gone back in time to that moment because his mind is still in present day, but he's stuck in his body and going through the motions he did 11 years prior. Not her. And with Helena, we follow her in 2008, 2009, and she's working in California on trying to get her some funding and from a committee, and she's told that this committee won't give her the funding, which is she wants to study human memory and kind of find a cure for Alzheimer's. It's always been her interest field, but it's been specifically important to her since her mother was diagnosed with Alzheimer's. And she's approached by this billionaire and given kind of, not assignment, but is, I guess, this opportunity to go to this isolated location to do research on memories and where in our brain memories are held and what happens when people are pushed to their limits with memories and whatnot. And the scientist, like, he goes too far and he wants to study someone who has died, is brought back to life, and see if they remember anything. And he goes far in a sense, like, he goes past the limit that it would be to save someone's life. And yeah, there's this whole like guy who gets out of control, and Helena, she thinks like it's friendly and whatnot, but something's off about him in the sense he knows too much. He knows what she needs even way before she even came on board to this project, even before she agreed to be on board. And as well, he just seems to know things he shouldn't, as if he's someone from the future. And so far, I'm definitely intrigued. I am like in the discussions on memory on how we are never living in a present, like when things have happened, and by the time we, I guess, kind of associate, but when we acknowledge, I guess, them in our minds, these moments have already happened. They're in the past. Like what I just said, even before I said it a second ago, it's a memory to me already. It's a memory for me already. Like, and as well, like how memory this is, how it's this complicated system, and it's like if we don't have our memories, then what keeps us grounded to this time? Because we could be thinking, oh, it's 2011, for example, if we have memories from 2011 and that's it, we don't have memories from 2012, 2013, and so forth. So that is something I'm liking a whole thing with memories, and I'm curious on where this will go, and yeah, so far I'm liking it, and yeah, and I think that's all for now. So I'll see you when I see you. I don't know, I'm finding this whole thing this interesting, I guess. So yeah. So it's the next day, and I've done some work again, both on my laptop and outside. I still have some yard work, but I run into an issue that I'm gonna need help solving later on. And I did do quite a bit of reading of recursion, premium page 190, and I'm definitely finding this intriguing. With Helena, she's starting to realize that Slade, he's trying to play God and kind of, I guess, manipulate the narrative of someone's life. He claims he is also from the future. He was a drug addict working as her lab assistant, and then got transported back 20 years prior, and is now working his way up to meeting her and working with her. And what he's doing is kind of killing people and have them go back in time to a different time period. And we see how this affects them because they feel like they're in the wrong place, that they are living longer than they are, that they don't belong in this life, they don't belong in this narrative. And the first victim essentially kills himself. And Helena, she decides she's had enough. Slade's not gonna allow her to leave, and she goes back to before she met him, when she was given the opportunity, and she declines and runs away. And with Barry, he is transported back to when his daughter was killed in a hit-and-run, and he is able to prevent that and spend more time with his daughter. And his marriage does deteriorate because it seems like they were just in denial of them just not being happy anymore. But 11 years passed. They're back in 2018 to the moment Barry went into the hotel, and things start to change with Julia, his ex-wife, and Megan, his daughter, when they're now starting to remember things about the other life. And we see how this has an effect on Megan when she does no longer feel, what was it that she said, that she no longer, she doesn't belong here. And this building that wasn't there before, this kind of, it shows up out of nowhere, and it is affecting a lot of people, including Megan, and it's causing a lot of people to kill themselves. And seeing how, like, they just feel like they're in the wrong place, they no longer feel like they belong in this life. And he does try to go back to the hotel, but Helena, for some reason, knows that he's gonna do that and interferes and wants to stop Slade and needs Barry's help, and that's where I'm up to. And again, I am liking the discussion of like how if you interfere with a person's life, how it might affect them, and how for some people like Slade, they think memory is an illusion. There's no such thing as memory. If you change one thing, you can change everything. And is it worth going back to change that one thing, even if none people who is affected remembers? Like, I'm just finding this still quite interesting, and I like seeing how this all plays out. So, yeah. Yeah, I think that's it for this short update. So I'll see you when... So it's the next day, and it unexpectedly became quite a long day, as while my mother and I were grocery shopping, we took both cars with us, both of my family's cars, and for something that holds the tire to the car, like, I don't know, broke off, and the tire was a bit loose, so yeah, we had to wait a couple hours for the tow truck to pick us up. And if you're wondering what I'm doing, I put my remote somewhere and I'm just out of it. I'm just so tired. But, yeah. And this morning before I met up with my mom to do grocery shopping. I did go to a library book sale and I got 3 books. I got Deep Cuts by Holly Brickley. My Darkest Prayer by S.A. Crosby, and The Night Guest by Herder Doger, and this is translated by, I think from the Atlantic, by Mary Wabinet Crow. And I also went into my Guest the Secret Heaven, and I got this for about $6, which I think I might just put on my bookcase because it's this a bit funny. Yeah, and before I left this morning, I did do quite a bit of reading of recursion. And I'm still, I guess, finding it intriguing. We see Barry and Helena as they try to infiltrate the hotel and try to destroy the chair and this whole thing. And it seems like they've had several attempts to do this, and one attempt then ended up with Barry being killed and Helen not going back in time to a moment to stop it. But it seems like for some reason SWAT got involved, and Barry is still dead, and Helen is kind of not held prisoner, but held as a witness, or held as for some reason by a government agency who wants to do research into the chair and utilize it, which is Helena's worst fear, that this thing in the hands of the government will, yeah, never get signed, especially, and that's the part that I'm trying to see if it's working. I am scared to see how they're gonna utilize on what the government wants this for. And again, I do like, but I find intriguing Slade's whole opinion of this, like how we limit ourselves to one timeline, to one sort of memories. And it's like, what is limiting ourselves? Like, there's so much to explore that what is not allowing ourselves. So he thinks it's human nature to explore, and yeah, I find that intriguing. That's his whole mind thought process with this, and yeah, and yeah, I think that's all for now. I'm extremely tired, and but I wanted to update before I forgot, like, what about today and what on. So I think that's all for now. So I'll see you next. So it's the next day, and earlier today I did go out to a church fair in my town, as they were having a grandma's attic, I believe it is, which basically tag sale. And didn't buy anything, nothing was really like I don't know, nothing I really wanted. Ooh, I did grab a dessert orange. My sweetie. Yeah, I did also finish up some grocery shopping that I wasn't able to do yesterday, and what I was planning to do today. And yeah, to get kind of rain, which annoyingly hasn't stopped. Like, why is it like that? When you're out, it's pouring, and then when you're inside, it's like, nah, I'm done. So, always fun. Before I left this, I did do quite a bit of reading of Recursion, putting me on page 296, and I don't know, I keep saying I am liking it, which is probably quite repetitive, as if I'm not liking it, I would have probably enough, but I just find this quite interesting. You would think if the government has their hands on the kind of machine they would be doing something much bigger, which there is the idea to do that, like to go back in time to when, oh god, to the assassination that triggered World War I to be triggered in. There's the discussion, like, maybe the way things played out or how they were played out, maybe it also prevented from worse people from surfacing and becoming into power. So, and as well, there's a lot of cause and effect in that, as if World War One didn't happen or World War Two didn't happen, then someone's great grandmother wouldn't have come to the U.S., wouldn't have met the great grandfather, their grandparents wouldn't have been born, and so on and so forth. And it just changes history in quite a significant, huge way. I'm glad that the idea is just, it was cute, I guess, immediately. But really what the government is doing is trying to prevent tragedies that happen in the country, as a school shooting or mass shooting, by going back 10 a few days prior and preventing such crimes from occurring. And this is only the, I guess, testing portion of the US government's ability, as higher ups in the government then give orders to use the machine to prevent other attacks from happening in the Middle East. And we learn that other countries also have blueprints, and really individuals have the blueprints and are making their own chairs. Slade's hotel was hacked, and they took the information, and this was noticed way after it occurred, and a lot of countries have it. And Helena, I guess, to try and prevent this, goes back to 1986, so over 33 years before us, when we're in 2019, to try and prevent this. And she does change things in a sense of her and Barry's relationship, because apparently when she went back the first time, there was something there with them, but in this timeline Barry never met Juliana, they never had Megan, and Barry marries Helena, and they live in the Pacific Northwest, or not Pacific Northwest, why am I talking about? They live in Tucson, and that changes things. And eventually, they're trying to figure out how to prevent the whole false memory syndrome and people remembering they share and they fail, and why not on a day where everyone gets the false memories and it triggers a lot of events, and somehow government agencies find them, or some agents find them and try to get them, and they go to their bunker or their chair. So yeah, I don't know what's gonna happen next, but I do like how they are trying, the US government, it's almost like, now the chair is almost considered like a nuclear bomb, I guess. Like, if one country uses this, then another country will know it's called a huge mess and be quite destructive, I guess. So, yeah, I just like the way things are playing out. I just still find it quite interesting. And yeah, and as it is Saturday, it is also the end of this video. So that's it for me. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. Leave a comment below, tell me what you've been up to recently. If you want to, please subscribe to this channel. If you want to follow me on any social media, then all those links are down bar below. I'll see you guys next time I post.